Welcome to Elevate Springfield, where we will dive into strategies and stories that help you rise to your full potential. Each episode, we'll talk about how you can take intentional steps to elevate your life and your business while making a meaningful impact on those around you. Along the way, we're going to bring in the change makers from our community that are already elevating. We'll bring the actionable strategies, you bring the discipline and follow through, and together we can elevate Springfield. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome in. Robert Farrell here, and you are listening to the Elevate Springfield podcast. Excited to bring you more actionable strategies. You bring the discipline and follow through, and together, hey, we're going to elevate Springfield. So hope you enjoyed last week's episode talking with Fred Weber from 217 Mortgage. He was awesome, right? This week, we've got another individual that's been elevating Springfield for quite a few years now, Mr. Michael Thomas from Express Employment Professionals. We're going to dive into the power of mentoring. We're going to talk about training as it relates to career development and also personal development. And we're probably going to get into a few other things as well. After our interview with Michael, we'll talk a little bit about some of the 10X strategies related to what we discuss and give you some more actionable strategies to take home for the week. So let's get right to it. Michael Thomas from Express Employment Professionals right after the break.
Hiring is a lonely business. Posting jobs, sifting through resumes, interviews with unqualified applicants, being ghosted. What if you could link with dozens of qualified candidates who are ready to work right now with just one connection? We're Express Employment Professionals, your full-service workforce solution. Every day, Express recruits qualified candidates in your area. So when it's time to hire, they have the talent you need ready to go to work. With more than 40 years in the staffing business and more than 860 locally owned and operated offices, Express helps thousands of companies find great people each year. And they can help you, too. Don't go it alone. Go to expresspros.com. One connection, great candidates, problem solved. expresspros.com, the workforce you need when you need them. That's Express Employment Professionals. Find us at expresspros.com.
All right, and we are back. Joining me in the studio now is Michael Thomas from Express Employment Professionals. Michael, how you doing today, brother?
Doing good, Robert. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Appreciate you stopping by and seeing me.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Appreciate you having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So let's just learn a little bit more about you. Give us what's your background.
Sure. I've been in Springfield for about 15 years. Married, of course. My wife's a small business owner. We have 3 children. Kind of my first job in Springfield, I was at the Salvation Army. I started as a production worker in the warehouse and worked my way up to the production supervisor and had about 5 stores and nearly 60 employees I was responsible for. So learned a lot, loved that role. Transitioned into retail. So I got into retail management for a Sprint franchise. Again, learned a lot, loved it. Did that for about 7 years, working 70 hours a week sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, retail can be grueling. I do joke now, though. I think everyone should experience that for at least a year. Just, sharpen up your customer service skills, see how much you really like people.
All right. That's what I was saying. You probably learned some good sales techniques and everything along the way.
But it can push your buttons.
Sure.
It's hard to satisfy people when you're in retail. Sometimes we used to joke back in the industry, sometimes we're just the face that gets it, right? They've been arguing with customer service. So anyways, my mentor actually knew Jim Britton at Express, and I was ready for a change and connected us, and that'll be 7 years in April. So I'm now the Director of Business Relationships with Express Employment Professionals.
That's awesome, and that's relatively recent, within the last year, right?
Yeah, I got promoted last year, and so far so good. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit more about Express. What do you guys do for anybody out there that doesn't know? I doubt there's very many people that don't know what you do, but might not know the brand.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. A lot of people think they know what we do.
Sure.
To your point, Robert. We're a full-service recruitment firm, 960 offices all around the world. It's an international franchise system. So here in Springfield, our owners, the Brittons and Kayla Edwards, They own Springfield, Jacksonville, and Bloomington. So it kind of gives us a unique footprint in Central Illinois. We work closely with Champaign and Decatur and Peoria as well. But we're helping people go to work, and we're helping companies find people. So whether that's entry level, general laborers, all the way up to accountants and CEOs, we're helping companies hire those kinds of folks. Whether it's contract or direct placement, we have about 20 recruiters under our roof that specialize in a specific skill set or job function.
Well, tell me a little bit about your path at Express. We said you just got a promotion here within the last year, but how'd you start at Express, and how'd you grow into what you're doing right now?
Sure, yeah, good questions. I came on as just a sales rep at that time. The job title was called area manager, a cold calling sales rep, right? I had a territory I was responsible for. I was out meeting business owners, business leaders, HR professionals, and really trying to educate them and uncover opportunities. Something I've always appreciated about Express is we're really a people-first organization, right? We can't help everyone, companies included, right? We can't help every company that we meet, and we can't help every job seeker that we meet, fortunately or unfortunately. So I started as an area manager, really enjoyed it. I was pulling on a lot of doors. There's no better way to say it. It's truly a numbers game when you start in the role that I did with Express, because you're trying to get your message out there. And you really have to touch a lot of people to uncover the ones that may be interested in what we have to offer. And so I did that for, about 6 years. My first full year with Express was 2019, right before the pandemic. I was able to achieve top 50 status in the franchise system. It's a pretty a neat thing. It had never been.
In your first year?
In my first year, yeah, my first full year. So I started in 2018. Really only had about 5 months in the business before the year turned. So 2019 was my first full year, and achieved top 50. It had never been done in the Springfield franchise history. We've been very fortunate, a lot of success. So I still joke with, the guy I report to is still my boss, Don Adams. He was in that role for many years, and he never accomplished it. So It's a little jab I use sometimes to keep him humble.
Hope you're listening to this, Don.
Don Adams.
So what do you attribute that to? How do you think you got to that level that quick? What are some things you did to get there?
Yeah, I mean, again, bringing up Don, he really drilled into me early on to control my controllables. And in that role, and it can translate, many roles in industries, but the controllables are my attitude, my activity, and my effort, right? Because in the beginning, coming out of retail especially, I was so used to the instant gratification. My sales cycle used to be 15 or 20 minutes. I listen real well and try to either upsell you on the phone or solve your problem. In this world, it's much longer and much slower. The trust is not there right away. To our point earlier, as we opened, often companies think they know what we do. And usually it's one or two things. They think we're only a temporary agency.
Right.
They think we only have candidates that can't find work on their own. And neither of those things are true. Actually, they're furthest from the truth. So in the beginning, like I said, it's just about controlling your controllables. And Don was a great trainer and mentor for me. And we have a great team. They really work hard to make sure that we as employees of Express have everything we need to be successful, from resources and material to trainings and so on.
That's awesome. What kind of trainings do you guys go through there for you?
Yeah, we do a lot of training. Sometimes it's not a matter of what, but it's almost too much. It can see,
sure,
right?
Sure.
Trying to figure out what is pertinent for the time that we're in. And we have a training partner out of Grand Rapids, Michigan called Frontline Training Solutions, and they've been in the space for over a decade. And now we're getting into the space where we can cater our trainings for whatever the company is needing, from supervisor boot camp to, we're big on DISC training within our organization, and not so much for screening people out, but more so just how do we communicate and work better, function more cohesively as a team, understanding the communication style of people that you spend as much time with as we spend time with each other. It's very important. And I used to not take it that serious because I wasn't a big fan of personality assessments. But the more I've matured in my role and the longer I've been with Express, I see how valuable it is. And here's an example. An individual that may not like to be recognized or receive accolades in front of the crowd, they'll shut down, right? Versus another person's style, they may need that to rise to the occasion. So it's very interesting to learn different communication styles and kind of what pushes people buttons, for lack of better terminology.
Absolutely. So for those of you out there that don't know what DISC is, can you tell us just a little bit more specifically on what it is?
Yeah. So it's an acronym, and it's all around trying to figure out how you communicate, right? And what your driving force is inside of you. Some people are more analytical and number and data driven. Other people just go off of how they feel, right? So DISC really takes a deep dive and helps you understand yourself better. And now we've utilized it so much internally, and we talk about it being a tool for at work and at home. Because regardless of the relationship you're in, it can really be a great tool for learning how to communicate better with individuals.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if you have one person that has more of a dominant type of personality trait, and the other one has more of the caring, laid back. It's good to know how those two work together and the best way to communicate with each other and understand that.
Yeah.
Right.
My first kind of real life example, we had just came out of a DISC training, and she's no longer with us, but we had an individual that worked with us, and no matter what the information was, if you sprung it on her, she shut down. She was not wired to, whatever she was focused on, she was good at. But any new information or surprises, she shut down.
Sure.
So I had to learn, if I get excited, I'm kind of all in, and I had to learn how to maybe even text her, hey, I'm coming back to the office. I'll be there in 10 minutes. I got something to share with you, just to give her a heads up. That way she was better suited to receive the information. And again, it didn't matter if it was good, bad, or otherwise. She was just wired differently than some other people are.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's very beneficial. I do that with my after-school group. We did the DISC assessment with them, and then the different programs you use, it'll tell you how to communicate with each other. So we took a couple of them at a time, and hey, this is how this person perceives this and how you're talking about. So they actually really enjoyed it, and they're middle and high school students.
Yeah,
and they really had fun with that.
Man, that'll serve them well in their later years, as they get to become a professional and enter into the workforce for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So now you've grown into your role now. What's your role at Express now?
So I'm the director of business relationships, same function, right? I still have a book of clients that I'm servicing and trying to be everything we can to them and help them get the right kinds of people when they need them. But I'm also developing a team that will report up to me and again, just try to pass on kind of what Dawn gave to me, the knowledge, the understanding of the business. So often, companies will think that, well, Express is too expensive. Well, they don't factor in the time spent creating the ad, the time going without having that person in place, all these kinds of things. And, that's what we do. We just try to help bring to mind that, have you thought about it this way? What does that really cost you not having that person in place? Because a lot of times the cost to get that person through us is less than that vacant position.
Yeah, certainly. So how do you go about finding these people? It's a tough environment.
That's the magic question, right? We literally have to do anything you can think of. We're fortunate to have an extensive network. Our database is nearly over 40 years old now. But it's just constant conversations, right? We have a team up in Carlinville today at the high school for the job fair. Any job fairs that are going on in the region, we're at.
You're there,
right?
yeah.
LinkedIn, Indeed, all of those tools are great for us, right? We take a little different approach than most organizations. Right, wrong, or indifferent, most people are just kind of wired to create an ad, post it, and pray that the perfect candidate comes.
Right.
Well, in today's market, that's not very successful.
No.
For the simple fact, most candidates that want to work are already working. Right now, a couple of years ago, it was a different conversation. But currently, right now in the market we're in, the atmosphere we're in, most individuals that want to work are finding jobs, right? There's more jobs than there are people. We all hear that. So we have to do everything. The advantage we have is the 960 offices around the world. So sometimes we get access to talent before it even makes it to this market. We have an internal referral system. So anybody that we have out in the community working for us, we're incentivizing them to refer their friends and family. The old adage, good people know good people. And then, like I said, just lots and lots of events. And the relationship building is another thing I think that sets us apart is we may talk to a candidate today that's not interested. Well, if our team of recruiters is doing a good job, they're getting to understand what that person may be interested in, right? Sometimes it's a little bit more money, a better benefit package, more vacation time, whatever that is. And then when we have an opportunity that could match that, then we'll re-engage that individual and see if we can't make a connection. So it's truly the people's business, right? We're working with people on both sides, from hiring to job placement, and it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So you mentioned LinkedIn. You're very active on LinkedIn. How important is that as a professional and really in any industry to be active on social media sites, but specifically LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn is a professional networking tool, right? A site where individuals will invest the time to build out their profile. And one of my regrets as a professional is I didn't get involved with it sooner, honestly. Now, I am fortunate to have nearly 8,000 followers, but it's from constant content creation, right? Whether it's education, information, Marketing Express, of course. I'm also involved with some community associations that help me with content. But it's very important, right? New opportunities come, new connections. I've tried to help my team understand that if a person's on LinkedIn and has taken the time to create a profile, they're inviting you to engage with them. They would not be on LinkedIn and have invested the time to create a profile and maintain it with their achievements and their volunteer and their work history and so on if they didn't want a conversation to happen. So yeah, it's a great tool, especially for folks that are maybe the youth. I'm always beating that drum, if you will, to the younger folks that social media is great, TikTok, all that stuff, but invest some time in LinkedIn and start building out that profile because it will pay dividends in the years to come.
Absolutely. So you said all different types of content. Do you have like a content calendar you try to stick to?
I wish I did. It would make my life a lot easier. I have gotten better as far as scheduling posts out, and things like that. But I tell you what, a lot of my stuff is just really organic. A lot of times in the moment, I overhear my team talking about something they're excited about, or a person that was maybe a difficult individual to help and we were able to place them, or maybe a company that was struggling and we were able to help them achieve what they were looking to achieve. So all of those things and more. I have a kind of a personal method or strategy, I guess, if you will, that I brought with me from the retail world, and it's very simply push-pull, right? I can't push too much Express or Silser or whatever it is without having some type of feel-good, good information, motivation, whatever it is, inspiration to pull people back in, because you'll just push all of your followers away if you do. So I'm not sure if that's worth anything, but it's something that's worked well for me.
No, I know. I think it's definitely worth something along the same line as kind of the give strategies. You're a lot of the content that you have out there. Yeah. I mean, so it's pushing Express, but then a lot of it when you're pulling, you say you're actually giving. You're giving motivation. You're giving stories, giving things that'll help people.
Yeah, people really, and it's not always easy, right? Even for me as somebody that I feel, transparency, people love transparency. So we all struggle with something, right? We all have shortcomings in areas where we wish we were better. And I think the more I lean into that and become honest and transparent to my audience, it seems to be received very well. People relate, they connect, they can identify. So
yeah, people relate through stories, especially when you're real.
For sure.
When you give that real story.
Definitely. Yeah.
So that's one way that you've elevated your professional life. What are some other things you do personally to elevate your personal or your professional life?
Yeah, I have a great personal and professional network, right? Outside of work, I have people and individuals in my life professionally that I go to for, industry knowledge or an area that I'm struggling in, but I also have a good group of guys around me personally that help me. I'm big in prayer and meditation, right? I'm often on the go and giving and going. But last several years especially, I've recognized that I can't be good for other people if I'm not good for myself. So taking time to rest and just enjoy the family. We all work hard. I work hard to have a certain lifestyle to sustain that. But in order to truly sustain that and enjoy that, I have to learn how to rest, say no more often, and have some type of boundaries and balance in my life, which is a mouthful and can be challenging and hard at the same time. But I'm learning that, the older I get, I guess.
So you said prayer and meditation is important to you. Do you do that? Do you have like a set time every day where and a set, strategy or the way you do that?
I do. Yeah. So for me, early in the morning's kind of the best time. The family's still asleep. The emails haven't got going yet. So I'm an early riser. I get up between 5 and 6 every day and I start my coffee, but then I have some devotionals that I go into and dive into. And I read that. I might pray, think about what that's trying to say to me or what direction I might be going for the day. And that seems to serve me well, just getting my mind settled in the morning and kind of set on something positive. Otherwise, I've had days where I, of course, miss my prayer and meditation because we're all busy, right? And I pay for it usually by lunch, right? Sure. Because the chatter starts and my mind can just go a million miles an hour if I'm not, really zeroed in on something positive. So like I said, faith is a big one for me. I have some good people around me that help me stay grounded and centered on positive things. In my younger years, I lived a lot of negativity, if you will, and,
Sure.
not so good life, and made a lot of bad decisions. So in my later years, I'm really working hard to stay on the other side of the fence, if you will.
There you go. So yeah, that morning time is especially important. You mentioned a minute ago, you got to, kind of invest in yourself so you're good for other people. That morning time, my morning routine, I'm very, very strict about my morning routine, and it is very much the same. I get up 5 o'clock every day. I have my coffee that I ground. I try to get some first light when it comes.
Yeah.
I read. I do some professional development and training first thing in the morning too. That's career related. I try to read a little bit, get my training and wellness in. I've got about a 2.5 hour routine before I get ready for.
But it gets you ready, right?
It does. It does. It has been probably bar none the best thing I've done for myself in terms of developing myself, because it's mental and physical health in the morning, both combined, and
spiritual.
Yeah,
if you really think about it, like you said, grounding yourself, just trying to be present, whether you're mindful, you're breathing or not, just that time of sitting still. The other extreme, right? I meet individuals, or I talk to people and they're chaotic or anxiety. I'm like, well, how do you start your day? And they turn on the news. I'm like, no, turn the news off, right? The news is not your friend, especially first thing in the morning.
Exactly.
So I'm big in, what you put in your body, whether mentally, your intake is going to be part of your.
Yeah. The news, I rarely watch any news anymore. It does. It immediately puts you in a negative space, and you especially don't need that first thing in the morning.
No, and I think it's designed to do that, honestly. And so, it's not fulfilling for my goals and aspirations in life.
I'd much rather have something positive. So I'm either reading. I'm a big reader, so either reading in the morning or going through a training program. That's related to what I want to do. Much more uplifting than the negative stuff that's constantly bombarding us on news.
Couldn't agree more.
So anything else you do to elevate your personal or professional life? Do you have anything else you do for your morning routine?
No, that's kind of it. I have different devotionals. I kind of rotate in and out, but just the quiet time, it serves me well. And I'm really trying to make my mind quiet, right? And it's a challenge sometimes, but I've been doing it for a number of years now, so it's gotten easier, right? The chatter comes, the distractions, the day ahead, right, is always trying to creep in my mind. I've actually had to physically get the books, and I used to have some apps on my phone, and the notifications come, right? So I've had to put my phone aside and go back to the traditional book, and it's really just helped me be present, collect my thoughts, kind of, like I said, just ground myself really in the morning. Thank God for waking me up another day.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, what about Express? What do you guys do at Express to maybe elevate your clients?
Yeah. So we have a lot of value add offers, if you will. I mentioned frontline training earlier. We actually have an Express Talks event coming up on March 24th. So we're always looking at ways that we can give back to them. We're not that agency or that company that just wants to supply you people. If that's the only place the relationship takes us, okay, great. We'll both be happy, hopefully. Sure. But we really try to be that true partner. And often it's, we always try to think, for us included, right? It's hard when you're in the middle of the fire to see what's causing it. And we see that so often with organizations. So oftentimes we will be able to try to help them diagnose a problem. And the training that we can subscribe then as the outsider or the third party, if you will, it can be received better, right? It's no longer the HR director trying to tell the team what to do. It's your staffing partner that has a value adds. Frontline's a great tool for us. We do a lot of different trainings. We talked about DISC, and we have the Express Talks coming up, but at least once a quarter, we try to host an event in-house. Outside of that, we have some white pages, real data driven. So if that's your thing, analytics and stuff, whether it's talking about the unemployment rate or maybe trying to forecast what's coming down the pike as far as industry-specific stuff. We have a lot of that. So anybody that is in our database receives kind of that drip content, if you will, from our Express marketing team.
What's Express Talks? What is that event?
Yeah, so Express Talks, it started many years ago, and it used to be an in-person event, right? And many of the listeners will probably remember Calvary Church was our host site for many years.
Yeah.
We had people like Colin Powell and Josh Sundquist, It's a much smaller event nowadays. It's more of a simulcast. So Express headquarters in Oklahoma City will have a couple representatives. One's from the, oh goodness, I can't think of what it is, the poll. Anyways, they'll be talking about the 2025 outlook, from hiring practices to maybe what to suspect with different industries as the year plays out here. So that's March 24th at our office. There is no charge to attend that event. It's just, again, a way that we can give back to our company partners.
I didn't realize that was the same thing. I remember going to the Calvary thing. So, yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
All right, well, Michael, I know mentoring has been a big part of your life. I mean, you mentor a lot of folks. You're a part of associations. You're part of youth organizations that you've mentored folks. But tell us a little bit about how mentoring has impacted your life.
So about 15 years ago, I found myself, because of my life choices, I was in prison, right? And kind of at the end of my rope, and started down the spiritual journey of getting to know God, getting to know myself, kind of recreate myself, if you will. And through the chaplain there, I got connected with a Christian discipleship program. And at the time, Tom Hardy, who is still my mentor today, was the president of that organization. So I didn't know it at that time, but we were beginning a relationship of mentoring, right? And he's been such a blessing in my life. He was the best man in our wedding.
That's awesome.
And we still meet, once or twice a month today, and we talk often, or text. But mentoring's been that game changer. Again, I think I said it earlier, I think we all have an area of our life where we wish we could be better, or an area that we struggle in. And for me, the relationship with my mentor is, he's much older than I am. So his life experience is much more than mine is, right?
Okay.
He's been married for a long time, and he's really that person that I'm striving to be, though he has areas that he's weak in as well. Again, I think we all do, but just having that person that I can share my insecurities with, my thoughts, good, bad, or indifferent, maybe an area where I'm questioning, taking action, he can share his experience if he's got any experience in that area. And also celebrate the good times. Life is good, and it's often better shared with another individual. I want to be a strength for my wife and an asset. And I've just learned over the years, not everything is met for the house, right? I need guidance sometimes. I need inspiration, believe it or not, when that mentoring relationship has really proved to be valuable for all of those things.
How's that typically structured? Is that something where you meet once a month, you meet every couple of weeks, or just call here and there?
Yeah,
what does it look like?
We go to lunch, talk, text is huge. And, again, it's just sharing life, right? For me, I was fortunate to get to know Tom, and vice versa. He got to know me over the years. And that trust factor was kind of there from the beginning, where I really trusted him. And I just know that he has my best interest at heart.
And that's key, right?
It's
knowing that they have their best interest.
It really is key, right? Because he doesn't always tell me what I want to hear, but he will tell me the truth. Gosh, it's just been so valuable for my life. Other organizations I'm involved with, the Outlet, they're a great faith-based mentoring program for at-risk kids here, 8 to 18. And they're doing great things over at the old St. Joseph's Home, after-school programs and the like. And I can't say enough about mentoring. I think it's one of those things that can be looked at, kind of as a negative or weakness or whatnot. But I would challenge anyone that, if you're struggling in life, mentoring may be the way out of that struggle, right? Especially if you can find somebody that's strong character and has, some faith, or at least some discipline that can help you out of that situation.
Yeah, like I said, it has to be the right person for you, right? How would you encourage somebody to find the right mentor? How does somebody go about finding the right mentor, you think?
Yeah, I think sometimes, in our lives, take a look around you, right? Chances are there's somebody not too far away from you that could be the perfect mentor. I can remember even growing up, at that time I was in no way, shape, or form ready for a mentor, but, I had a great uncle that was always just that positive figure in my life, strong voice, strong man, if you will. So I would just encourage, look around, find somebody that, maybe has something you want, right? And not necessarily material things, but maybe they have a certain position in the community, or a job, or maybe they're a figure in the church, or a neighbor. Community is so important. And I think if you're ready for a mentor and looking for a mentor, it won't take you long to find somebody.
Yeah, and that's the key, right? Is finding somebody that, like you said, has already had some success that maybe you want to have, right?
Yeah.
So they can give you that advice. But
And I don't think it's a one and done thing. Now, fast forward some years into this new life that I've had the pleasure of starting to build. I have several mentors, several people in my life that I know I can go to regardless of the situation or regardless of the challenge and ask for their input or advice. And they're going to give me the honest, truthful answer. And it's not about sugarcoating it or anything like that. It's truly about seeing each other kind of strive, and be better in life. And yeah, I just know that I couldn't be where I'm at today without the help that I've received along the way.
And like you said, some of those can change over the time. You can have some of those core mentors that you've had for many, many years, but then as you've progressed in your career and progressed in life, constantly want to reach up and try to progress more and stretch, so you could be getting new mentors along the way, right?
That's been one of the, outside of being a father and a husband and things like that, that's been one of the most fulfilling experiences that I've had the pleasure of being a part of is, now that I'm where I am in life and I haven't arrived by any means, I still have a lot of work to do, and I'm striving daily to be a better person. But now I have the opportunity to mentor some other guys. Now I understand, right? Kind of full circle. I understand why Tom was so gracious with his time and his wisdom and things like that, because I get to see that happen for other guys. They were here and now they're there, right? And it's just all about making progress and building one another up and being there when times are tough. When times are tough, friends can sometimes be hard to find, right? But
Absolutely.
Mentors are always going to be there.
What are some of the challenges there? You've mentored folks now. What are some of the challenges that go into that?
Yeah, if people would only do what I tell them to do. And again, it's kind of funny, but one of my other mentors always says, take my advice, I'm not using it, right? So it's about having, making sure your motives and intentions are right for me. I've struggled over the years to where, I've overexerted myself. I've gotten jaded, all those things, because I truly care about people.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the potential of a person that wants to change because I've experienced it myself. I believe we're all capable of anything that we set our minds to with a little bit of help and the right assistance, right? Because I've experienced some of those things where I just knew I was never going to be able to overcome it. And I've overcame those things with the right help. So sometimes it can be heartbreaking whenever you're trying to help an individual and you see them continuing to make the same mistakes over and over again. So that's the challenging part of it all is, knowing that the outcomes are up to them, right? I'm going to be available. I'm going to be present. I'm going to try to pour into them what was poured into me. And what they do with it is really up to them. And that's been a relief. It's taken some pressure off, right? I'm not the author and finisher of their decision, right? They have a part to play in this. And, I'm still that guy that'll do 60%, even if you're only doing 40%. So I'm not afraid to do a little bit more to try to help someone, but you got to show some effort and some want to in order for this relationship to work out.
And I would imagine that would be a mistake that a lot of people make early on as the mentors is, taking that too much responsibility on that.
Yeah.
No, not fully understanding that it's the mentee that has to really follow through with everything. And, you can be the greatest coach and mentor, but ultimately they need to be able to follow through on that.
100%. I couldn't have said it any better, Robert. I think it's like with most things, right? You truly get back what you put into it, and again, it's about being honest. You can't receive help if you're not honest, and again, it's not, that relationship, at least my experience, it's not designed to beat that person down or beat them up. Hey, let's evaluate this. Let's see where you messed up or see where you went wrong or whatever. And let's figure out how to avoid that maybe the next time. And like I said, it's not just for those negative situations in life. It's also for those positive things.
Celebrate the wins.
Celebrate the wins. It's really easy to get caught up on the negative or look for the bad, right? It's all around us. But it takes some work to search for the good. I tell you, the more you look for the good, the more you'll see it.
No doubt about it. You stopped by and spoke with our Explore for Success group a few weeks ago, and there's a mentorship component to that program. And one thing we do at the beginning of every session is, hey, where are our wins? Where are we winning? What happened that was great in your life this past week? Because like you said, once you start looking for wins, they're popping up all over the place, and it puts them in that positive mindset.
Yeah,
right?
I love that. I do remember that now that you said that. I love that experience. We do the same thing with the SILSAR Customer Service Association. We start our board meetings with good customer service stories, right? We all experience bad customer service, but where are the good things happening at? And those are the people that I want to hang out with.
Absolutely.
The ones that can look for the good, even though bad is part of life. We get it, but I just try not to concentrate on it,
And I'll tell you what, one of the best examples of this that I've seen, as I'm a 10X certified coach, and I go down to Miami quite often and part of their training down there. Every morning at 9 a.m. in their room, the entire company comes into a room. They circle around what's basically a big training room, and essentially it's wins the entire time. So each department shouts out their wins, and the energy there is unreal for about 20 minutes. It's the most phenomenal workplace meeting that I've ever
fired up.
Oh, it does. You're ready to go at it after that. You're ready for your day. But it is, every department goes through their wins, their deliverables, and what was great. And then they always have a customer, one of their customers that is having their wins too. So it's not just the employees. So
that's
the customer testimonial as well. It's phenomenal.
You get to share in that greatness and experience that.
Yeah, and they do it every day.
And how cool for maybe the person that's just starting their journey with the organization to get to experience that, right? And know that in a few short days or months or whatever, they might be able to start cheering and celebrating as well.
Yeah. So. Hey, another thing that's cool about it is if somebody's there interviewing, they pull that person up as part of the morning meeting.
Yeah.
They said, anybody here for a job interview today? And they bring that person up and they speak for a second too. It's amazing. That's
really cool. Yeah. What an experience, right? Whether you join the organization or not, you're not going to forget that.
Oh, absolutely not. But it's great. And I've looked at ways that, hey, how can you take that and incorporate that elsewhere? Pretty awesome.
That just reminds me, people will often forget about what you do or say. They won't forget about how you made them feel, you know? So yeah, mentoring is a blessing for sure. Just seeing people get better, whatever better looks like for them, I think is important too. I had to learn that is, I can't have my idea of success for you. Whatever your idea of success is, let's talk about that. And let's talk about the steps that it's going to take. Is it realistic? Right. And, that's another thing that I've had to, success for you looks different than success for me. Yeah. And I've had to come to grips with that. That person may be satisfied with that growth for now, right? What does that look like? Can they stay there? Is that sustainable? Do they have more potential? What's that timeline look like to where you want to push them a little bit? Sure. Because I do know this personally and professionally, complacency is not good, right? And you do got to celebrate, acknowledge it for what it is. But I think I think Fred said this actually, if you're not growing, you're kind of dying.
You're dying. Absolutely. No, we can't define another's success, and we can't define another person's why.
Yeah, for sure.
They have to have that goal for what success is for them and why they're doing it. I firmly believe that's hugely important is, what success do you want, but why do you want it? What does that look like? How is that going to change your life and change the life of the people around you? Your why.
What's going to get you out of bed when it's snowing and 10 below, because if it's not a good enough why, you're probably going to hit the snooze button and cover back up. We see it often in the workforce, actually, Robert, where one or two things will happen, right? It's either one extreme or the other. Either an individual will overrepresent themselves. It's unfortunate because it's hard to help that person. But what we see more times than not is a person will underrepresent themselves. And that's just as heartbreaking because oftentimes that person doesn't have anyone in their life that can help them see themselves in a better light. So my team is wired that way. Always talk about leaving people better than we found them. Mm-hmm. It's not always a job, right? But it's giving them a word of encouragement or maybe a suggestion on what they could do to be better or take the next step in their career journey. So it's just kind of hardwired in us at Express to leave people better than we found them.
Yeah. So you talk about your team. Now that you're in a leadership role now, how do you mentor or lead the folks in your organization that's part of your team?
Yeah, good question. It's an interesting switch, right? Going from a producer to a producer coach leader, right? And so it's been challenging. I joked with my wife a while back that I think I just want to go back to a producer role.
Sure.
I didn't mean that. So to answer your question, I think it starts with modeling that behavior, and then trying to understand how I can be of service. I try to keep that in mind. I need help from my team, but I can't expect them to be present and help me if I'm not willing to help them. So just trying to be available and be present for them, really be sincere and how's it going? How you feeling, right? We've had an interesting dynamic the last couple of years where we've had a lot of new people start. So it's been challenging, exciting, and fun all at the same time, right? because like most organizations, you don't realize how much tribal knowledge, if you will, an individual has until they're gone. So just trying to make sure that individuals have what they need to succeed, whether that's the resources, the technology, whatever, what have you, and just be available for them. I find that we can't expect people to ask for help or raise their hand or acknowledge that they're short in an area if we're not displaying that behavior first, right? I think especially in the professional world, we're all kind of programmed to pretend that we have it all together, and none of us have it all together, right? But it's a total turnoff for a leader to pretend they do and then expect their team to be honest and transparent when they're struggling, because it's just unrealistic. So I try to check my ego. That's I'm reading a book called First Time Manager. A guy named Mike out of St. Louis wrote it. Our whole leadership team is actually studying this book and talking about it every other week, chapter by chapter. And one of the things he hit on was, in a producer role, your ego's important, right? You need to accolade, you need to celebrate.
Definitely.
As you become a leader, nobody likes that guy.
Right.
You got to put your ego aside and start trying to build other people up and give them the spotlight and the limelight and things. So I just thought that was an interesting concept. And of course, it makes all the sense in the world, but I think we've all experienced that person that is struggling in that area at times, and nobody likes to work for that person.
Right. Do you guys have an ongoing book study? I mean,
we do.
It just another book after this one's done?
Yeah. A few of us have kind of always done it, a book or a podcast or just something to chew on and kind of dissect. But yeah, we're looking for the next book, actually, because we're coming to an end on this one.
Okay.
We're big Patrick Lencioni people, ideal team players who we model our internal culture after. Humble, Hungry, Smart are the three components of that book. So he has a bunch of good books, but Ideal Team Player was a big one and still is internally. Ken Blanchard's another big author that we talk about and read a lot of his stuff. So
you big reader outside of that?
I've got, I've in this challenge personally, I love to have the physical book in my hand, but because of my life and my schedule, I've gotten more into audio. The challenges with audio is I find myself, wait a minute, I have to rewind it. So I'm listening to it 3 or 4 times when it's like, I should have just read the book. So yes, to answer your question, I'm just trying to figure out what that looks like in this current phase of my life.
Yeah. I kind of bounce back and forth. Some of them are audio books. Some of them are physical books. I prefer the physical book because, like you said, I do feel like I am more engaged with it. So
yeah, for sure.
You said a moment ago something that I think epitomizes you like to a T, because you're all over the place. You said you're talking to your team, how can I be of service? When I think of Michael Thomas, I think of how can I be of service? So for whatever that's worth, and part of that is because you're involved in so many organizations. You are helping out everywhere, right? And everybody says the same thing, that Michael, you have a heart of service, and it just exudes. So that's one thing I just think epitomizes you. How can I be of service? But talk to us about some of those organizations and associations that you're involved with.
Well, thank you, Robert. I appreciate the compliment. It's a blessing and a curse.
Sure.
Right? Deep down, I do truly want to give back and help out. The challenge is you can't be everywhere and do everything.
Or everybody.
So I'm learning that and learning how to say no kindly, and maybe if not now, maybe later, right? Because no doesn't always mean no. It just means the timing might be bad. So yeah, the Salvation Army, I hit on it when we first started. They were the first organization that really saw something in me that at the time I really didn't see in myself, and gave me my first opportunity at being a leader within an organization. So I serve with them. I'm on their board, and I will be until they tell me to leave.
Sure.
And I've I've been the president or the chairman. I've been the vice chairman. I'm on the fundraising committee now and having a lot of fun there. The Central Illinois Customer Service Association, I think I'm in my 5th or 6th year with them.
Love it. Great events there.
Great events, great people. We really pour a lot into that organization, and we hear it from our members often that it's about the quality of our events, not the quantity. We're not racing to do an event every month. Sometimes we do an event every month, but that's not our goal. We're really trying to make sure that they're quality programs and that our members and whoever is participating or attending that event is really getting something out of that event. We're all volunteers and we're all business professionals, so we're very busy, but we're also very committed to that group and to the community. The outlet, I mentioned the outlet mentoring program, and I say yes to some churches locally and in the state. I have opportunity to speak to small groups and youth groups and things like that about things that I've experienced in my life.
That's awesome. You certainly are elevating Springfield with all the work you do around here, my man.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
So let's give us a couple of takeaways here before we close up shop. Maybe one from the personal side, one from the professional side to help others out there elevate their life or their business.
All right. So personally, kind of my guiding light, it's a scripture, Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness, and these things will be added unto you. What are these things? You tell me. In my personal experience, the more I focus on God and try to be available and present and serve God, the more my life kind of aligns, and the less stress I have. The more I focus on me and building up my ideas and my kingdom, the worse my life gets, right? So just not being self-centered is the main takeaway of that for me. Professionally, I'm going to have to still Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar says, if you can help enough people get what they want, you get what you really want, right? And so I've held on to that. And again, it's kind of a foreign concept to society as a whole. You know, we're kind of programmed to take. But I truly believe that if we can have an attitude of gratitude and try to give back and help others, you know, get a hand up or whatnot, it'll benefit us too.
Give. I love it.
Give, yeah.
So, Michael, if somebody wants to work with you or work with Express, what's the best way they would go about doing that?
Probably the easiest way is 217-528-3000. That's the phone number to the office. Ask for Mike.
Awesome. Appreciate you spending the afternoon with us here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Robert.
That's awesome. All right. Well, we're going to let Michael get going so he can continue elevating Springfield. But for the rest of you, we'll be right back after the break. Hey, everybody. If you like what you've heard so far, hey, join us over on Facebook. We have a group and a page over there. You can also join our free community where we will bring you additional insights and strategies to help you elevate your life, your business, and ultimately our community. You can find that link in the show notes. We would love to have you join us. Let's get back to it. All right, how awesome was Michael Thomas? He is certainly elevating Springfield day in and day out with his work at Express and everything he's doing out in the community with all the associations he's working with, his time at his church, and also with the outlet. So, hey, kudos to Michael Thomas. Big round of applause for everything he is doing. So, hey, some of the things we discussed, give you kind of the next mindset and the next side view of that. So we talked a lot about mentoring and the power of mentoring. Well, when it comes to X, Cardone Training Technologies has coaching programs, and we do personally at my business, that we can help serve individuals and companies with coaching in the areas of marketing, sales, money mindset, scaling, really anything to accelerate your personal and professional life, setting goals, making sure your mindset is right along the journey. So, hey, if you're interested in a coach or mentor out there, go ahead and feel free to shoot me a message over on the Facebook page, or you can just head over to robertfarrell.com, be able to find some more information there. But it is vitally important that you have those mentors in your life. I feel sometimes when we're young, it's easier for us, or it makes more sense for us. I don't know what it is, but whether it's teachers, coaches, parents, we kind of have these built-in mentors early on, or at least some of us do. But when we become adults, we sometimes feel that, hey, we don't need that anymore. We don't need to have a mentor. We don't need to have these folks to bounce ideas off to keep us on the right track, people that have our best interest at heart, like Michael mentioned. But I will say it's just as important, or even more important as an adult, to have these people in your life. Even the best coaches and mentors need coaches and mentors. So one thing we mentioned with Michael when we were talking was how your mentors can change over time. And I firmly believe this, because as part of the 10X mindset, you always want to be reaching up, not sideways. You want to be reaching up to stretch yourself So you want to find folks that have had extraordinary success in all areas of life. You don't want to have somebody that's just had success in one area of life and then neglected every other part of their life. You want to have somebody that's had it all, that has that success that you want, that has that exceptional super life that you are trying to get to. That's the person you want to be your mentor. And when you ask these folks to be your mentor, just ask for time. Make sure you are listening more than talking. You're not asking for anything from them investment-wise other than just some time to help you figure out how their success, how their path, how their journey can help you along yours. Another thing we discussed quite a bit is the importance of training. There at Express, they have a company that they partner with. They have a partner company that provides training for all their employees, and they do a lot of stuff in-house. On the 10X side, that is vital as well. I train every morning in Cardone University. If you want some information on that, I can certainly get you that. But it is a full curriculum around mindset, around scaling, around marketing, around selling, basically anything and everything, same as what I said with the mentoring, anything and everything to be exceptional in your personal and professional life. And it's really important whether you use that or you're training with some other program or some other company that you are training daily. Anything worth doing is worth doing every single day. So carve out that time, make it part of your morning routine like I do, or maybe it's part of your end of the day routine, whatever that looks like for you. I find it's best in the morning. Cognitively, I'm ready to ingest that information in the morning, and it puts me on the right track for my day. Gives me a much more efficient day. It puts me in the right mindset. We'll talk more about kind of morning routine in another segment. Michael also talked about the power of LinkedIn when it comes to networking. Couldn't agree more. From the 10X perspective, you are looking to be omnipresent. Omnipresent is the key. You want to be everywhere, including LinkedIn. So you want your content on every platform all the time. So when people think of your space, they think of you. And like Michael mentioned, LinkedIn in particular is a bit of a kind of a gold mine for business to business, because really when we're talking about business to business, we're really talking about people to people. People run businesses, right? So even though we say business to business, it's still people to people. And you can gain a lot of great connections on LinkedIn. Like Michael mentioned, they wouldn't make a profile if they didn't want to be contacted. So hey, get active, become omnipresent in your space on all platforms, LinkedIn included. Another thing Michael talked about was the importance of serving others and give. A 10X tenet is to give more than is expected of you. In everything you do, in your personal and professional life, give more than what is expected. Go the extra mile all the time for people in your family and in your business relationships. When you do that, you are making yourself unique by your actions, right? Most people do the bare minimum or just enough giving to make it feel like they've done something right. But we, as 10X folks, want to be unique by our actions, and we can do that by serving and give. And Michael mentioned that when you do that, when you serve to that degree, when you give that much, it eventually comes back to you. People want to do business with people that impact others in such a profound way. So find ways that you can give in all of your endeavors, both personally and professionally. One quote that Michael said that I've heard it said other ways. He said controlling your controllables. I love that. I think I might make a little poster with that, controlling your controllables. That might have been Don Adams' quote before that, but I really do like that, and it fits in with a lot of the other things we do here. So, what are you going to do to find a mentor today? One thing you can do along the same lines as mentoring is start a mastermind group. This is a little bit different than your mentor group. These are folks that are all striving for greatness, a way to push each other. So you meet every week, you hold each other accountable to your goals and your dreams and your ambitions. The main thing is you want multiple people in this mastermind group, but the main thing is they all need to be striving. They all need to have big, giant goals, and they all need to be able to hold each other accountable for their success. The mastermind group is not worthwhile if people do not hold each other accountable. So you want this group to be able to push you, stretch you beyond where you are right now. So who can be your mentor today? Who can be your coach? Who could be a part of your mastermind group that you're going to start? How much more can you be present on social media, on LinkedIn? How can you become omnipresent? How can you move toward that today? What kind of training can you add to your daily life? These things that will help you in your career. No matter what you do, you can train and learn every single. There's things we can all get better on. So take the opportunity to train every single day, grow and stretch through that. If you want some ideas on things you can do training-wise, hey, give me a shout. Be happy to help you out there. So with all of this, you take these actionable strategies, add the discipline and follow through that I know you can do, and you will get results. And together, we can elevate Springfield. Be right back after the break.
Hiring is a lonely business. Posting jobs, sifting through resumes, interviews with unqualified applicants, being ghosted. What if you could link with dozens of qualified candidates who are ready to work right now with just one connection? We're Express Employment Professionals, your full-service workforce solution. Every day, Express recruits qualified candidates in your area. So when it's time to hire, they have the talent you need ready to go to work. With more than 40 years in the staffing business and more than 860 locally owned and operated offices, Express helps thousands of companies find great people each year. And they can help you, too. Don't go it alone. Go to expresspros.com. One connection, great candidates, problem solved. expresspros.com, the workforce you need when you need them. That's Express Employment Professionals. Find us at expresspros.com.
Thank you for joining us today, everybody. A reminder, you can find Elevate Springfield on all your favorite podcast outlets. Just search for Elevate Springfield. Should be able to find us. Shout out to Michael Thomas for joining us today. A lot of great insights, and we know that he will keep on elevating Springfield. Hey, we're going to be back at it next time, but until then, take these actionable strategies, add in your discipline and follow through, and together we can elevate Springfield. We'll see you next time.